One, tell me, what is a fluid?
Sir, any liquid or gas?
Any substance that flows.
Okay, Kavya. Naisha, tell me.
Any substance that can flow.
Very good. Kavya?
Yes, this correct. Any substance, any liquid or gases that flow.
Any gas and liquid, you are only saying first. Fluid means the materials
Anything
are
that flows.
okay.
And liquids and gases.
Very good. You have to say like this whenever anybody asks you fluid, the materials which are having the property of flowingness will be called fluid. Okay. The materials are the substances which are having the property of flowingness. Those will be called what actually? Fluids. Flowingness must be there. So this property must be there. Flowingness property must be there, and those are called fluids. And which will flow generally? Liquids and gases will flow. And whenever a solid substance is there, you say it is moving from one point to another point, but you will not say it is flowing. And flowing can be said only for liquids and gases. So that's why whenever anybody asks you about fluid, you have to say liquids and gases, not about solids. And now we are learning about what? Fluid friction. So simply what you can say, friction exerted by liquids and gases. Friction exerted by what? Liquids and gases. So friction exerted by liquids and gases will be called fluid friction generally. So here it is given. Fluid friction is the force of friction exerted by liquids and gases on objects moving through them. That means whenever any object either moving through the liquid, that means in a water or anything, then what happens? They will offer some resistance to the motion of that object, and that resistance will be called fluid friction actually. So even also whenever you are moving in air also will offer some resistance to your motion, and that force also will be called frictional force. And on what factors this fluid friction will depend and how to understand them. So that's what we are going to learn today. And after learning, you are going to solve few questions which will be asked in this particular class, and you have to give answers. Okay. Now simply tell me, what do you mean by fluid friction in a simple words?
So the friction exerted by fluids like gases and liquids.
Very good. So friction exerted by liquids and gases, or generally to say friction exerted by fluids, that will be called fluid friction. And how to overcome that particular fluid friction, and how to increase the fluid friction. So those things also we are going to learn. Now let us learn about few examples of fluid friction. What is the first one? Birds flying in air have streamlined body to reduce fluid friction. Maybe you've seen that birds will have some special shape, special type of a wings will be there for them, and giving a particular shape for any object so that the friction will become less. That will be called streamlining. So birds flying in air have streamlined body. So streamlined body means what? Which are having special shape in such a way that the friction will become less. That will be called streamlining. So birds flying in air have streamlined body to reduce fluid friction. And second one, fishes living in water have streamlined body to reduce fluid friction. So fishes will have very smooth surface, and they will have a particular shape. Why that particular shape will be there? Because to overcome the frictional force. And maybe you see in aeroplanes and spacecrafts will have streamlined body to reduce fluid friction. So generally to overcome the fluid friction, what we have to do, we have to give special shape for any object. Then only what happens is the frictional force will become less. And maybe you can see something with our own hands experiment also. Now let us take one small paper, ordinary paper you take, and you make it to move through the air. And after that same paper you use and make it like an aeroplane shape. Now if you throw that paper, whether the aeroplane made paper will move in air easily, or the paper which is not folded like that will move easily? Tell
Sir,
me.
the airplane folded paper will move easily in the air.
Why?
Sir, because of its streamlined shape, which reduces the friction.
Very good. So streamline, that means we are giving a particular shape in such a way that the friction will be reduced. Okay. And by seeing the wings of birds only, aeroplane was designed actually. So aeroplane was designed in such a way that it can reduce the friction while moving in air. Okay. So generally streamlining means what? Alex, are you there?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So if
Right.
anything is like a flat surface, sir, it will like burn. It's taking up a lot of friction.
Once again, tell me.
So if like the plane was made flat, so it wouldn't be able to fly because it will take up a lot of friction. Now due to the streamlined friction is getting um, passed on to the back.
Okay. Next, Veda. Veda,
Yes, sir.
tell me. Streamlining, what you understood related to it?
So when the body is streamlined, it reduces the fluid friction.
No, okay, streamlining will reduce the friction generally. But what do you mean by streamlined? Streamlining.
So it is narrow at the ends and broad in the middle.
Okay, so it is narrow. That means giving particular shape or not?
Yes, sir.
Right. So giving a particular shape in such a way that the friction can be reduced. So that is called a streamlining. Okay. And birds naturally will have streamlined body. You are not making it. Naturally they will have. Fishes also they will have naturally streamlined body. But aeroplanes we are making by seeing them. Maybe by seeing birds only they have designed like that. So that fluid friction can be reduced. Okay. So streamlining means making a particular shape to overcome the fluid friction will be called streamlining. Okay. And maybe one question was given in previous classes, previous examination, streamlining exam. Sorry, question also I asked in examinations. Ronak, have you attempted that question at that time?
Yes, sir.
Right. So this is about fluid friction. Now, when you are moving on a bike, have you seen air will stop you like you will feel like that?
Yes, sir. Sometimes I have feel.
Okay. Suppose very large wind is coming and you are moving in it. How you feel?
So like someone is pushing us uh, in opposite direction.
Okay, Alex, tell me.
So some bikers who race, they also like bend down to for less friction.
Okay. So that means whenever you are moving in a wind also, you will experience some kind of a force which will resist you, which will resist your motion. And that is called a
Yes,
friction
sir.
only. Right. So gases also will apply friction on you. Gases will apply friction on other objects also. Fluids also will apply some force on you. And maybe tell me, suppose you are moving on the road. Only air will be there on the road. You are moving on the road in air. And you are moving in a water on which you feel very easy to move. On air or water?
Sir, on air.
Air. In water?
Sir, in water it's very hard to move.
It is very bit difficult to move. Why? Because the fluid will offer some resistance for your motion. And that means water friction will be more than that of a air friction. Okay. So like that, fluid generally will offer some resistance to the motion of objects, and that will be called fluid friction. Okay. And how we can reduce this fluid friction? We can reduce the fluid friction by streamlining the object. That means by giving a particular shape for them. By using that, we can reduce the fluid friction. Okay.
Sir?
Tell me.
Sir, what is viscosity?
I will tell you that also there. Okay. Now see here. What is there here? Fishes are moving because of particular shape. Streamlined body is there. Okay. Next, fly of birds are there, and aeroplane is also there. So different giving a particular shape to overcome the friction will be called fluid friction. Sorry, streamlining. Okay. Right. Now let us learn about the fluid friction and what factors it depends. So first factor is what? Speed of the object. And what is the second factor on which this fluid friction will depend? Shape of the object. Next, size of the object. Next, nature of the fluid. So on these four, what will depend? Fluid friction will depend. Tell me, what is the first one, Ronak?
Speed of the object.
Right. Alex, second one?
The shape of the object.
Very good. Veda, third one?
Third is size of the object.
Very good. Kavya, fourth one?
I couldn't hear the last one. I heard the first three when you said them, but I didn't hear the last two.
Okay. It is there on your slide. That is nothing but
Air on our side. Oh, if the air is flowing in the same direction as the object is moving, or if it's facing the opposite side.
I'm asking you on what factor fluid friction will depend. And all those four factors are there on your screen. Three were said already. And you have to say fourth one. That's it.
Oh, the nature of the fluid.
Very good. Nature of the fluid. So how nature of the fluid will affect the fluid friction? Size of the object will affect the fluid friction. Shape of the object will affect the fluid friction. So that's what we are going to learn by few examples. So let us learn one by one. First, speed of the object, next shape of the object, next size of the object, next nature of the fluid. So first let us go to speed of the object. So higher the speed of an object moving through a fluid, greater will be the frictional force acting on it. Is it right or wrong?
Sir, it's right.
Very good. Now what you do is, all of you are having bicycle.
Yes, sir.
Kavya, you are having bicycle.
Yes, sir. Yes.
Right. So maybe everyone using bicycle. And what you do is on a smooth road, what you do is you go slowly first. When you go slowly first, whether air will offer more resistance or less resistance.
If you go slowly, then the air doesn't show much resistance. But the faster you
Very
go,
good.
the more
Less resistance.
When you go very slowly, almost all you can feel that no resistance force is there. That means it offers very, 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 very less frictional force, isn't it? Now suppose if you move very fastly on that particular bicycle, what you can feel? You can feel that the air is stopping you. Have you felt it like that, Ronak, while you
Yes,
are
sir.
riding the bicycle?
Yes, sir.
Right. So that means if speed increases, what will increase?
Friction.
Fluid friction will increase. So as speed will increase, frictional force will increase. Even in liquids also it will happen. If you move fastly, more friction will be applied by the liquid also. So higher the speed, greater the frictional force. Now one example is also given in your slide. An aeroplane flying at a higher speed of 1000 kilometers per hour will face greater frictional force of air than another similar aeroplane which is flying at a lower speed of 600 kilometers per hour. That means more speed, more frictional force will be. So frictional force will depend upon what? Speed of the object. This is the first factor. Now second factor. What is the second factor? Shape of the object. And just now we learned about streamlining. Streamlining means what? Giving a particular shape. So the objects having streamlined shapes face much less frictional force when moving through a fluid than the object which do not have a streamlined shape. And see here, a car has a streamlined shape like a wedge due to which it faces much less frictional force of air while running at higher speeds. So maybe wedge shape. Do you know what is wedge shape? Generally wedge shape means like this will be there. This is called wedge shape. First, very pointed edge will be there like this. If pointed edge is there like this, it is called wedge shape like this.
So like an
And
eagle,
like a
or bird.
so that is nose of that eagle actually. So that will have like this. Okay.
So, but generally the bonnet of the cars are like rounded shapes, not like this pointed. I haven't seen.
That much of he see here. Example what they took, one is car and other is a bus actually. But when you examine bus and car will have this type of shape, not like particularly this type of shape, like this also will be there, like this also will be there, isn't it? In front.
Yes.
So it may be not perfectly wedge shape, but it may be somewhat like this. But if you see the bus will have a flat surface only, front, like this only will be there. It will not have this type of a wedge shape. Have you seen buses will be there like this?
Yes,
Sir. Buses will have flat surface like this, not like this, isn't it?